Mom didn't understand why her son's grave was green. She cried when she knew truth behind it. Raymond and Rachel were heartbroken when they lost their son, U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Joseph, at the young age of 36. It was a tragedy they never expected to face. No parent ever imagines having to bury their child, it goes against the natural order of life. Yet, they found themselves standing by his grave, struggling to come to terms with their loss. Joseph had dedicated his life to serving his country, and now all they had left were memories, a headstone, and the pain of his absence. For the first few weeks, Raymond and Rachel visited Joseph's grave often. It brought them a sense of closeness to him, a connection that helped them grieve. However, as winter arrived and the cold winds blew, they were unable to visit as frequently. When the harsh season finally passed and they returned to the cemetery, they noticed something extraordinary. Joseph's grave was covered in lush green grass, while the rest of the cemetery was brown and lifeless. Rachel was taken aback. She could not understand why, in an area where the grass had withered due to winter, her son's grave remained untouched by the effects of the cold. At first, she thought it was a miracle or a sign from Joseph. Was it a divine gesture letting them know he was at peace? Her emotions overwhelmed her, and tears welled up in her eyes. But little did she know, the reason behind the green grass was something just as beautiful, if not more so. The answer to the mystery came from an 86-year-old man named Jake Rising. Jake had recently lost his wife, and much like Raymond and Rachel, he found solace in visiting her grave. Each day, he would bring flowers, sit by her tombstone, and talk to her as if she were still there. One day, as he made his usual visit, he saw a young woman sitting by another grave, crying uncontrollably. Jake approached her gently, concerned for her well-being. He sat beside her and offered her comfort. The woman was Joseph's sister, and she was grieving the loss of her only sibling, the brother who had been her best friend all her life. She told Jake how much Joseph meant to her, how he had always looked out for her, and how his passing had left an emptiness in her heart. Listening to her pain reminded Jake of his own grief. He had spent 60 wonderful years with his wife, yet even that had not felt like enough. He understood the deep sorrow of losing someone dear. After that day, Jake couldn't stop thinking about Joseph's sister and her pain. He wanted to do something to help, to show that her brother was still cared for, even after life. And then, an idea struck him. Every time he watered the grass on his wife's grave, he would also water Joseph's grave. It was a simple act, but to him, it was meaningful. He didn't want the grass on Joseph's grave to turn brown and lifeless like the rest of the cemetery. He knew that a well-maintained grave would be a small way to show that Joseph was not forgotten. For months, Jake kept up this small, quiet act of kindness. He never expected anyone to notice, let alone thank him. He just wanted to offer some comfort to a grieving family. But when Raymond and Rachel saw the vibrant green grass on their son's grave, they couldn't ignore it. After some inquiries, they finally learned the truth. When Rachel discovered that Jake had been the one watering her son's grave all along, she burst into tears once again, but this time, out of gratitude. Rachel and Raymond were deeply moved. They never imagined that a complete stranger would go out of his way to honor their son's memory. It wasn't just about the green grass, it was about the love and compassion behind it. In a world where people are often too busy with their own struggles, Jake had taken the time to help ease someone else's pain. When Rachel met Jake, she hugged him tightly and thanked him for his kindness. She told him that his gesture meant the world to them and that they would never forget his generosity. Jake, in turn, told them that helping them had also helped him. Watering Joseph's grave had given him a purpose, a reason to continue visiting the cemetery beyond his own grief. He believed that both his wife and Joseph were watching over him from above, happy to see the kindness he had shared. Rachel later decided to share the story on Facebook, hoping to spread awareness of Jake's act of kindness. To her surprise, the story quickly went viral, touching hearts across the world. Thousands of people commented, sharing their thoughts and expressing their admiration for Jake. Many said that his selfless act restored their faith in humanity. Others shared similar stories of strangers showing kindness in unexpected ways. Jake's story became a powerful reminder that one small act of compassion can make a world of difference. It reminded people that kindness doesn't have to be grand or complicated, but it can be as simple as watering a patch of grass. What mattered most was the love and intention behind the act. In a time when people often feel disconnected, Jake's gesture showed that there is still goodness in the world.